Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James.
Another day, another mock draft. I just posted another mock draft about 2 days ago. You know, since the off season is ahead of us, I'm going to be posting a lot more mock drafts since we only have about 7 days left until we get into the NBA draft. I'm going to do a live reaction. Also going to be doing a post reaction to the mock draft. So if you guys want to tune in, make sure you guys are subscribed. We're going to get into this pretty fast because I think my top 3 is pretty much locked at this point since we're so close to the NBA draft. I'm going to go Alex Sarr at number 1. If you guys have been consistent watching my mock drafts, which are the most viewed videos on my channel, there's some with 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. They all make over 1,000 views, which I appreciate so much. We all know that Alex Sarr, in my opinion, is the perfect piece to sit next to Trae Young, a lob-catching big. The defense that he brings, the inside presence, and the offensive upside that he has, I really like this pick. Number 2, not going to waste much time on it. We're going to go Zachary Reese-Shea. Before the Nikola Topic news came out and before the news that the Wizards were leaning towards drafting Reese-Shea, Nikola Topic was my number 2 pick because I felt as though they had guys who could move off ball in Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, Corey Kispert. And I felt as though they needed a point guard to really initiate that. But now that Topic has that partially torn ACL, I think that he's going to be pushed down the board just a little bit more. And I feel as though the upside with Zachary Reese-Shea could be pretty high. I mean, he has the spot up shooting. He can put the ball on the floor, and he's so versatile when it comes to positioning. He can play the 3. He can play the 4. Just needs a little bit more weight. Now, number 3, I'm going to go Reed Sheppard. Depending on where you put him is all eyes on Amen Thompson. If you like Amen Thompson to be the lead guard, you put him there. You put Reed Sheppard at the 2. Maybe he can come off the bench. If Jalen Green doesn't work out, maybe he can start. But I like the pick of Reed Sheppard. I feel like he is the one of multiple guys in this draft that can really fit on all 30 teams because Reed Sheppard just brings that shooting. And there's not a team in the NBA that could use more shooting, that can't use more shooting. So I think Reed Sheppard is the pick there. At number 4, I'm going to take Stephon Cassell. This is pretty much a lock for me as well. I've been picking different players for the Spurs almost every mock draft because they're one of the hardest teams to mock for in the NBA draft, especially in the lottery. And it's just because they could use so much. I mean, I'm not saying they could use so much, but they could use a lot. You know, now that you have the centerpiece in Victor Wembanyama, who in my opinion is a surefire top 5 player in the future, you take a guy like Stephon Cassell, who has experience playing with a defensive anchor behind him in Donovan Clingan, who I think him and Victor Wembanyama can mesh pretty well. He's 6'6", 6'7", can guard the 1 through the 3, very strong. He's not a slim guy coming in. He can handle the ball. So I think Stephon Cassell is a very good pick for number 4 right here with the San Antonio Spurs. Now, number 5, I know earlier in my mocks I had Reed Sheppard falling here because I had Topic going 2, Reese-Shea 3, whoever at 4, and then Reed Sheppard being number 5. And then I felt as though Matas Buzelis could be the bucket getter that the Detroit Pistons needed. But I'm going to go Dalton Knecht. You know, I think the Pistons need a glue guy. And the Pistons have the talent. You know, the difference between the Wizards and the Pistons was the Wizards were in the first year of a rebuild. The Pistons are pretty much in a groove to the point where they could be finding themselves out of the rebuilding stages within the next few years with guys like Cade Cunningham, Ausar Thompson, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey. They need that glue guy. They need that guy who's going to come in, be consistent, game in and game out, be a good shooter, be a good spot-up shooter, be a decent team defender because they have the on-ball defender in Ausar Thompson. I think Dalton Knecht is the best pick here for the Detroit Pistons. He's 22 years old. He can shoot the lights out of the ball. He shot over 40% this season, and he's more than just that. He can run in the transition. He can make a play off of a bad closeout. I love what Dalton Knecht brings to the Detroit Pistons, so I'm going to draft him here at number 5. At number 6, last mock draft, I got into a debate with a Hornets fan or 2 Hornets fans in the comments saying Rob Dillingham was not the best pick for the Charlotte Hornets, which I can get behind. And the more I sat and thought about it, I felt as though I was wrong for taking Rob Dillingham to the Charlotte Hornets because of the defense of the backcourt between LaMelo Ball and Rob Dillingham. What Charlotte may need is a defender, a non-ball defender, and I think Ron Holland is the best pick for that. This is a guy that's 6'7". He can play the 2, the 3, the 4, very athletic, can run with LaMelo Ball, can be a lob threat for LaMelo Ball, can be a point of attack defender. He can guard the post, he can guard the perimeter. I think Ron Holland is a great pick for the Charlotte Hornets. At number 7, this is where I go Matas Buzelis. I think Montas Buzelis would have been the consensus #1 pick if that shot would have fell. He's lengthy. He can put the ball on the floor. He's creative, getting to the rim. He has a decent form, and I think he will get better at shooting as time goes along, and I think he's a very good pick for the Blazers. They don't need any more guards. I think Montas Buzelis is the one that we pick here. Now, with the 8th pick for the San Antonio Spurs, I think of Tijan Saloon. I also think of Rob Dillingham. I also think of guys like Devin Carter, because they were leaning towards Devin Carter. They're leaning towards Devin Carter, as there have been rumors that they're leaning towards Devin Carter with that 8th pick. I'm actually going to go Nikola Topic. I just think the talent is too... I think the talent at the playmaking position is too high for them to pass up on. Yeah, he's going to be out for some time, but you're not going to be contending this year. I think you give Stephon Castle the year to see if he can be a real lead guard. If he does not show the sign of him being a real lead guard, you also have Nikola Topic to fall back on, who in my opinion is a way better playmaker. Shot 80+% from the free throw line this season. The jump shot form looks pretty good. So I think you can get a guy like Nikola Topic who's so effective going downhill and can create a lot of space for Victor Wembanyama, and if that shot falls, he's going to be a very dangerous player. Now at number 9, this has been another lock, all mock draft, Donovan Clingan to the Memphis Grizzlies. And when we look at a team that's looking to compete next season with John Morant, Desmond Bane, 2 former Defensive Player of the Years in Jaren Jackson and Marcus Smart, I think bringing in Donovan Clingan to insert him at that starting 5 will be a seamless fit, and I say this all the time, a lot of young rookies in the NBA, especially centers, their weight is a big concern when they're going to have to guard guys like Jokic, AD, Sabonis, Cat, Embiid, Giannis, etc. And I think Donovan Clingan, when he comes in, he's 7'1", he's 265 plus. He's going to make a lot of offenses have to second guess going to the rim, especially with a guy like Jaren Jackson roaming when Donovan Clingan's main job is just to protect the paint. I love this pick for the Memphis Grizzlies. At number 10, I'm going to take Rob Dillingham for the Utah Jazz. I think they need that scoring punch other than just Lauri Markkanen. Now, when we look at their team, they do have a lot of undersized guards with Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, Keontae George. I don't know how much Rob Dillingham will fit next to Keontae George. Only time will tell. I don't think Colin Sexton will be there long. Also don't think that Jordan Clarkson will be there long. I think Rob Dillingham is the best player available, and I think that's where they go. Number 11 for the Chicago Bulls, I think they're going to take an upside guy. I don't think Tijan Saloon is going to have to play much. And when we look at his athleticism, he's 6'10", he can stretch the floor, he can run the floor. This is a guy that can be an all-star for multiple years in the future if he is progressed well. I think Tijan Saloon will be great for the Chicago Bulls, and that's who I'm going to take with the 11th pick. Now, with the 12th pick, I think this is pretty obvious. Cody Williams is the brother of Jalen Williams. Not saying this is the only reason they're drafting him, but when we look at some of the wings for the Oklahoma City Thunder, we don't know how much longer they're going to be here. Gordon Hayward, I'm pretty sure, does not re-sign. Josh Giddey, don't think he re-signs. And then you have guys like Isaiah Joe, who is 6'4". He's kind of on the smaller side to be a 2 or a 3. I think Cody Williams can come in and be that eventual Lou Dort replacement, and I think he goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, with the 13th pick, we have a lot of different avenues we can go. There's guys like Jared McCain and Devin Carter, who can be that Malik Monk replacement off the bench. Both of these guys are very electric when it comes to scoring the ball. Devin Carter plays way taller than he actually is, standing at 6'3", but he also averaged 8+ rebounds this season, also on about 20 points, and he's a decent shooter. Jared McCain is a guy that can attack the basket. He can also hit threes from deep. He could be a spot-up shooter. He could be a guy that shoots off the dribble. And I'm going to go Jared McCain. I think Jared McCain, with his shooting and his decision-making and the fact that he is versatile enough to be a combo guard, I think that's what sways Sacramento to taking Jared McCain. Now, with the 14th pick, I'm going to have the Portland Trail Blazers taking Tristan da Silva. I think Tristan da Silva is one of those older guys. He averaged about 16 points, 5 rebounds, shot pretty well from the field. And this is just a guy that comes in. He's pretty good at everything. He can hit the mid-range shot. He can hit the 3 ball. He can run in transition. He could be a decent team defender. I'm not going to sit here and ask him to be a point of attack defender. I don't think that is what he will end up being. But I think this is a guy, a Tobias Harris-esque type of player who's going to come in and fit on a lot of teams. So I would take Tristan da Silva with this pick. and he can also end up being the Jeremy Grant replacement down the line. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I could have saw Sacramento taking Devin Carter, but I chose Jared McCain because I like Devin Carter's fit on the Miami Heat just a little better. I think he fits Heat culture immensely. Now, I'm stuck between, for the 76ers, Jacoby Walter, Johnny Furphy, and Keyshawn George. Last mock, I took Johnny Furphy just because he's a 6'9" shooting guard who can run the break, play decent next to Tyrese Maxey, hit an open shot, and he could be that 6'9" shooting guard that maybe the Sixers lack with having a really small point guard. But I'm going to go Jacoby Walter. This is a guy that can create his own jump shot. He can hit the open jump shot, spot up, and if he could just get a little bit better at getting to the rim, I think he would be very good for the Philadelphia 76ers. So I'm going to take Jacoby Walter here. Now, with the Los Angeles Lakers, I don't know if they have truly hired JJ Redick yet, but I think they're on the cusp, and I think he's going to be the coach for the Lakers. And there has been some rumors that they are looking towards drafting a center or picking up a center in free agency and moving Anthony Davis to his natural position, which is the power forward position. So, in my opinion, I think Kel'el Ware is the best option when it comes to center, because when we look at him as a lob threat, he could be a floor spacer, even though I don't know how much the Lakers are going to ask him of that. I also think that Yves Missi isn't a bad pickup. I don't think Zach Edey should go in the top 20, but I think Kel'el Ware, he has some struggle playing against some physical players, guys like Nikola Jokic, guys like Anthony Davis is going to be on the team, but guys like Nikola Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, it's going to be a struggle, but I think Anthony Davis is the perfect player to pair next to him to kind of be that mentor. So I'm going to take Kel'el Ware here. He seems like a Laker in my opinion. Now, for the Orlando Magic, I think Keyshawn George or Johnny Furphy is the pick here, especially with Keyshawn George at least being that 3-and-D type of player that can put the ball on the floor when need be. I think Keyshawn George is going to go here to the Orlando Magic. He's already in Miami, so it's not going to be a far commute. Now, with the Toronto Raptors, I don't like Jakob Poeltl and Kelly Olynyk. I do not think these guys are the best centers to pair next to Scotty Barnes. I think Yves Missi fits perfectly. for the Raptors. It's going to be ugly maybe his first few seasons because they don't have that real guard that can create for him like Kel'el Ware and Alex Sarr and Donovan Clingan will get, but it's gonna fit. It's gonna fit eventually once they get that real point guard and maybe allow Emmanuel Quickley to be that 6-man role where he strived best at in New York. So for Cleveland, I'm going to take Tyler Smith. I think Tyler Smith is the type of guy where he can play the 4, especially since Jared Allen is in trade talks. I think if Jared Allen ends up getting traded, you could put Tyler Smith in at the 4, slide Evan Mobley over to the 5. Tyler Smith is a left-handed shooter who has a very good form, can rebound well. I think there's some potential playmaking as well. I think Tyler Smith can be a very good all-around player, and I think he can be a plus defensively as well, 6'10", 220 pounds. Now with the New Orleans Pelicans, there has been some trades. There has been some trade rumors of Darius Garland and Brandon Ingram straight up. But if that does not go down, if that does not aspire, I really like Isaiah Collier. I think downhill, him and Nikola Topic are the most dangerous point guards in the draft going downhill. I think Isaiah Collier is very fast. He's very crafty when he gets to the rim. He can get his big men open, and I think that's what Zion Williamson needs a lot. I think point Zion is a real thing, but I think also without him having the ball in his hand, this could be the most effective he has ever been. So I'm going to take Isaiah Collier with the 21st pick. Now for the Phoenix Suns, they need somebody who's going to come in and facilitate. Devin Booker had a solid year, but you could tell he was not playing the position that was made for him. I think Bradley Beal is going to be moved to the bench halfway through the season. I think Tyler Kolek is the best guy available. 22 years old, senior, averaged 8 assists this season, is very mature when it comes to running an offense, and that is what a team like Phoenix needs when they're going to be contending for a playoff spot. I like this pick. I like this pick a lot. Now, for the Milwaukee Bucks, They are kind of slim when it comes to the wing position. Yes, you have Chris Middleton, but he's old. He has a lot of injury history. He was healthy through the playoffs, I love to see stuff like that. You have guys like Pat Connaughton, who is very inconsistent. Marjon Beauchamp, AJ Green, these guys are very young. Malik Beasley, we don't know if he's going to be coming back. Part of me wants to go a wing, and that's what I'm going to do. And I think Johnny Furphy could be a guy. Because when we look at Marjon Beauchamp, I think his defense, I think what he brings on defense can allow for them to take a guy like Johnny Furphy, who can shoot the ball well, can run in transition, and he can be a real glue piece for this Milwaukee Bucks team. I'm going to take Johnny Furphy here. Now for the New York Knicks, I like the Ryan Dunn pick here for them. But then when we look at guys like OG, who can defend well, Josh Hart, who can defend well, I don't know. A guy like Kevin McCullough also strikes me as well. Baylor Shireman, who's one of the better shooters in this draft class. I'm going to go Kevin McCullough here. I'm going to go Kevin McCullough. Another guy, 22 years old, knows what he wants. He can put the ball on the floor. He can shoot the ball. I know I'm saying that a lot about some of these players, but that's really what these players are good at. That's what most of these players strive at best. And I think he could be a great catch and shoot guy next to Jalen Brunson. And he looks like he can be a type of player who can carry a second unit. So I'm going to take Kevin McCullough here. Now they have back-to-back picks, and I think Isaiah Hartenstein may be out the door next season. I know that's hard to believe for a lot of Knicks fans, but I don't think the re-signing OG Anunoby and Isaiah Hartenstein is realistic, at least both of them. So I think you take Kyle Filipowski here. You still have Mitchell Robinson, who is a good defender. I think Kyle Filipowski can still be a plus offensive player and a plus rebounder. I'm going to take him. He's going to have time to progress. I think the Washington Wizards, they have a chance to take a swing on Zach Edey. This is not their pick, so they definitely have they definitely can afford to take a swing on somebody. Zach Edey is probably the biggest boomer bust type of player in the league right now, or in the draft right now. And if it works out, you look great. If it does not work out, oh well. You guys are in a rebuild. You can afford to take a swing on a player. I'm going to take Zach Edey for the Washington Wizards here. Now for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I have been a little back and forth on who I should take. Now, Bub Carrington has been my guy for a while now for the Timberwolves, just because they can have another point guard who can really attract attention from a defense. He can learn from Mike Conley. He can learn from Anthony Edwards. So I think I'm going to stay here. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves defense is good enough to the point where you don't take Ryan Dunn here and you really find someone who can make something shake on offense. Baylor Shireman is another guy where I'm like, he brings a lot to the offensive side of the game to the point where I wouldn't mind taking him here. But I'm going to take Bub Carrington. Here. Now for the Nuggets, there are a lot of pieces you can bring in. You might lose KCP this offseason. You're a second apron team. KCP is probably the best perimeter defender you have on the team. Why not draft Ryan Dunn? Ryan Dunn may not be able to give you the three-point shooting that KCP can, but it takes time. You may be able to start Christian Brown. You may be able to trade for someone who can step into that starting spot. Why not take Ryan Dunn, who has the potential to be a KCP-like defender? Already the best perimeter defender in the draft. I'm going to take Ryan Dunn here to the Denver Nuggets. I like this pick a lot. He averaged 8 points, 7 rebounds. I think he is a very, very, very good player. Now, for the Utah Jazz, I am looking at two players, Bobby Klintman and Baylor Shireman. Baylor Shireman is a floor spacer. He can come off screens. I think he's a very good shooter, 6'7". I'm going to take Baylor Shireman here. 200 pounds. He's a senior, very well experienced at the collegiate level. I like that. Now, for the Boston Celtics, who just won a championship, congratulations to the Boston Celtics and all Boston Celtics fans. I'm going to take DaRon Holmes. I think he is the pick here. So that's going to do it for another mock draft. I appreciate everybody watching. I don't know how many more mock draft videos I'm going to make because I don't know. I think I'm pretty locked in on the top 10 picks. But then once we get to about the second half of the draft, that's where I really like switch my picks around a little bit. I know I always select Ryan Dunn to go to the Bucks. Now I have him falling all the way to 28 to the Nuggets. I usually have the Jazz take anyone. In my opinion, I think the Jazz are best player available type. I always have Kyle Filipowski go to the Knicks at 25. I always have the Pelicans take Isaiah Collier. I always have the Cavs take Tyler Smith and the Raptors take Yves Missy. But I switched it up a little bit. I had the 76ers take Jacoby Walter when I usually have Jacoby Walter go to the Magic. I also have Keyshawn going at 18 when I usually have him going all the way at 28 to the Nuggets. So I fluctuate a little bit when it comes to how I want to see the draft go. Hopefully one of these mock drafts, because I'm going to do multiple. I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to drop a mock draft every day. Probably going to drop a mock draft every single day. And hopefully one of them are spot on, which is crazy. And I'm going to drop my final mock draft the morning of the mock draft. And that's going to be my very last one. So if you guys like this type of content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate everybody watching, and I'm out. Peace.